Today's Daily Move is in collaboration with Steven Morales. He's a trainer that has 14 years of experience. His classes that he's taken are basically everything I look for when I'm referring to another chiropractor or a PT. So he knows his stuff, which is pretty awesome. And today he's going to teach me basically, I don't know how to move. I don't know how to exercise, but I want to get started. So Steven, where are you going to start me?
So with any of my clients, when they first come in, the first thing that we're going to start with is breathing, which can be a very, very complicated subject. So trying to streamline that, give you the best info we can. I'm going to essentially have you lay on your back right here for me. Breathing is our centerpiece, right? So a lot of times we'll use the word core, but I always tell my clients it really is just this cylinder that is your centerpiece. And with that, we talk about we need to breathe diaphragmatically, and I like to point out you're always breathing diaphragmatically. It's just we're not breathing as we should. There's a disproportionate amount of chest breathing going on. So for people that know the nervous system, when I'm chest breathing, I'm in fight or flight mode. That's why we see a lot of people, their shoulders are shrugged up and they're really, really tight. We want to breathe into the belly here. So just a quick example of that, and then we'll get into a little bit more nitty-gritty stuff here. But if you're lying flat on your back here, we would put one hand over the chest and one hand over the stomach. We want the hand on the chest not to move. We really just want to try to breathe into the hand on the stomach here. So I would have somebody take an inhale through their nose, and they could exhale either through their nose or through their mouth. The example I use with this is because people want to breathe in with just their mouth here, but if I'm trying to blow up a balloon, kind of think about this like a balloon, it's easier if I do it through that small hole, right, than through a big one. So it's just easier to get a better fill in the belly if I breathe in through the nose. And what I want to see is that visually the hand on the stomach is rising up and going down. So this may actually take some time right here. For some people, that hand might not be enough pressure. If it isn't, I would actually have you flip over, you would lay on your stomach. So now the ground is giving you feedback. So he could just lay like this, yeah? So if he's here now, all he has to do is breathe into his belly, and he's really just gonna get feedback from the floor. If that feels like the ground is increasing pressure on his stomach, he's breathing there. If he feels it more in his chest, he knows it's there. And we would just essentially start right here. Now we're gonna progress forward. So I'm gonna have you roll back on your back for me. In terms of how long you should be there, everybody's different, right? We really start here and then we try to progress forward because we're gonna use this breathing technique when we get to lifting. From here, he's gonna find his pelvic bone here on the front with his 2 fingers, and then he's going to literally slide in just a little bit and he's gonna push in, just like this. Now when he breathes in, he's gonna see, does that pressure that he's building with that air push his fingers out a little bit? So we do it, and you can do a count if you want. Sometimes it helps to do a breathing box. Maybe it's a 4-second inhale and then a 6-second exhale. Everybody's a little bit different. But he does wanna feel that that pressure is equal. So we call this intra-abdominal pressure, right? We're trying to fill this with air. And essentially what we're gonna use this for is it's the, like I said, centerpiece, but we want to make sure that that internal pressure is matching whatever the external load or force is, whether we're lifting weights or we're just moving our body around in space, right? In terms of, am I going to use this as an exercise or a drill? I would have him do this for 5 to 10 breaths. And we could just start right there, right? But talking about this just a little bit more, my example, I always use water bottles. So if I look at this water bottle and it's full, but let's just pretend it's full of air and it's capped. If I look at this one right here, it's full of pressure, right? So when I go to try to break it, it's really, really difficult to do. It can withstand a lot of external pressure or load on it. That's what we're trying to create. Most people don't have that. Most people, when they lift, they don't create intra-abdominal pressure. So what happens is that external load is creating pressure on the body. Right here. Where that pops up a lot of times is somebody is lifting something really, really heavy. They don't have good intra-abdominal pressure. And because of that, that weight, that pressure, that load, it has to find stability somewhere. A lot of the times it's actually gonna go someplace and we're gonna get an injury, maybe in our back, maybe not. Maybe it goes to our hip, maybe it goes to a rib, I don't know. But a lot of times it does go to the back. So when load exceeds tissue capacity, we have an injury, right? With this, we're trying to protect the body here. We're trying to create a good centerpiece, and then we're gonna be stronger, right? So right now, by the way, we're just looking at, can you do this, right? That's my starting point. Can I or can I not from here? Then we wanna look at quality later, right? Beyond this too, we wanna make sure that we could actually fill in other spaces. I could check his back, I could do other things here. I could put a ball underneath his lower back here. He could see if he's breathing in, does he feel the pressure increase on the ball on his lower back, right? Beyond this though, and trying to strengthen this a little bit, we could start with his hand staying here, but his feet or his legs lifting up in the air, just like this. Once he's here, I'm gonna ask him to draw his belly button in towards the floor. He's essentially gonna tuck his butt a little bit. Now he feels his spine is completely flat to the ground. His feet are relaxed, his knees are apart. As you can see, the knee is stacked over the hip also. As he's here, he's just gonna continue his breathing. We could do that for 5 to 10 breaths. That would be kind of my progression for this, right? Once he's kind of mastered this, I'm actually gonna ask him to just lift his arms up. From here, his hands are stacked over his shoulder, and we would do the same thing. We could just start with breathing right here. Can he maintain position, and can he breathe into his belly and not into his chest? I could always stack something on my stomach. Maybe somebody's not around. Maybe I put a book on my stomach, so I at least feel something. We want to give the body neurological feedback. We want it to understand what it's doing. From here, this position, if we wanted to progress forward, I could actually just ask him to start with just reaching his arms back, right? One at a time for me, yeah. So we could go one, it'd go all the way back, and we could pull it up. For some people, if they can't reach the shoulder all the way back, don't worry about that. It really is just the reach. If I can touch the ground, awesome. If not, don't worry about it. And I'm gonna tweak this a little bit. So I'm gonna have him turn his hands like this, and he's gonna put his thumbs up. From here, if he reaches all the way back, he can have his thumb touch the ground. Or maybe I put something a little bit higher. That way I know I'm hitting my end range here. While he's doing this, same thing. You wanna make sure that that back is flat to the ground, okay? Good, you could do that for 10 total, right? 5 per side. Another progression from there, and this would be, I would start with arms first, I would then go to toe taps. And the way this works is he would literally just let this drop down a little bit, his hip would come forward, his toe would tap, and he would come right back up. And then he would alternate, right? We'd go to this other side. Hands could stay here, he's just making sure he can maintain his back neutral to the floor, and he could have good intra-abdominal pressure. Now when you start, it's all or none. So he's either doing this or he's not doing this, right? Later, we would want to make sure that we could check and see, is it quality, right? Good. With that, he would do 10 also. Beyond that, we could actually then go into a contralateral pattern here. So we could actually move the opposite limb with the opposite limb here. Before he does every movement, he's gonna take a deep breath in, and then he's gonna bring it back. Now, whether he reaches his leg out or he just drops his foot down so his toe taps, that's a progression. As his foot gets farther from the body, it's harder. Something to keep in mind, all right? And we would wanna make sure his spine is flat to the ground. So for most people, I don't actually even have them fully extend their leg because they can't handle it. They literally go like this with a little bit of bend in the knee. Yep, they don't even go down all the way necessarily. We would have them, it's almost like your shins are going parallel to the ground. Yep. We could do 10 reps total, 5 per side. And that's really where I would end. If you wanted a harder one, you would do a contralateral reach with it. So in that position, I would reach my opposite hand now. So as he goes into extension here, this hand would go top of the knee. And as he drives the knee up into the hand, it puts more load or demand on this, and his back flattens to the ground more. That would be my last progression with this. What we're doing is we're training all the layers of the midsection. That's good. So these deeper layers of the midsection, right, they're providing stability for our spine. They're also going to provide more strength for any other movement that we do. So that's where I would actually start people. We would progress them up. It's always 5 to 10. When you get to a contralateral pattern, I have to make sure it's even. So it's 5 per side, right? 10 per side, whatever I may do with that. So that's where I'd start somebody, and then we would go to lifting. So after this, that's the centerpiece for every movement that I do. Deadlifts, squats, push-ups, anything like that. So we would progress forward from there to our regular lifting.
Perfect. I think this is super important too, because you talked about the fight or flight. A lot of people are anxious, they're in this position. Just doing the breathing, you can feel yourself starting to go into that parasympathetic, the rest and digest, or you feel that calmness just doing the breathing.
Yeah.
And these look and feel like really simple movements. They look like simple movements. That was difficult. Just doing that.
I put you through that a little bit longer. And with this too, you have to understand that when you exercise, you're stressing the body. Exercise is stress. It's controlled stress. We want to make sure that I'm not jacking up my nervous system and then leaving the gym, because I'll leave like this. These movements and understanding these movements as you're lifting calm the nervous system down, so I can leave more relaxed than when I came to the gym.
Awesome. So yeah, if you're somebody that doesn't know what you need to do to start, or intimidated by a gym and not sure that you're ready to go to the commercial gym, or you're doing the meathead type lifts and things like that, with that kind of setting, Steven's really, really good at starting you at a position in a place that's not going to get you injured, and using that as a scaffolding to build you to where you are resilient in many, many different movements. So, Steven, if somebody is interested in hiring you or wants to learn more, see some of your content, where can we find you at?
So StevenMoralesCPT.com, then just search for Steven Morales CPT, which just stands for Certified Personal Trainer, on YouTube, and then the same thing on Instagram or Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you guys soon.